The scene is set. On one side, we have Team Evil, the Aristotelians, master of form, and on the other side, we have the good, the Platonists, guardians of the unseen and the eternal. In this episode, we're moving forward from the forward and free-falling into the main text. If you're joining me for the first time, I'll give you a quick rundown on what this series is all about. I stumbled across a document titled Secrets Known Only to the Inner Elites, written in 1978 by Lyndon LaRouche. This article comes from The Campaigner, a fringe but fiercely intellectual publication that claimed to expose the machinery of power behind global events. It's dense, philosophical, and sometimes difficult to follow. But underneath the academic language and political jabs is something deeply unsettling and deeply important. What this document suggests is that the world is not guided by politics, but a competing group of elites who use myth, media, and education to steer the course of human history. In this series, I'm breaking it down, paragraph by paragraph, decoding the language, unpacking the philosophy, and connecting it to what's happening to us now. Because this isn't just a history lesson, it's a map. And once you see the structure, you can't unsee it. The first sentence doesn't pull any punches. It hits out by saying, "The world has been run by conspiratorial elites employing secret knowledge." On the surface, it appears to be a regular, run-of-the-mill conspiracy. In reality, it's more subtle, more sophisticated, more philosophical, more embedded in how we think, how we're educated, and how we see the world. If you approach this topic with the usual ideas about a global conspiracy, you'll end up with a confused mix of facts, truths, and wild fantasies. The result, a mixture of international Jewish and communist conspiracy. Global conspiracies operate by controlling the beliefs of the masses through manipulated mythologies, narratives shaped and directed by the elites through the media. Techniques first developed by Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi Party's chief propagandist, and later refined and institutionalized by the British intelligence. Outside and above the Washington Post, the New York Times, London Times, and popular women's magazines, there is a governing elite. These elites have secret knowledge. The first aspect of this knowledge is that the elites recognize that mythologies are myths and utilize them to manipulate the masses. Once you get past the divide between the people who know what's really going on and those who still believe in myths, there's a deeper split within the elites. These two powerful groups completely disagree about where humanity should go. One group, the humanist, or those influenced by Plato and Neoplatonism, who want to move society beyond the myths. They believe people should be guided by truth and reason, not manipulated stories. The other group, the Aristotelians and their followers, who want to keep using myths to control the population. Their goal is to establish a modern-day feudal system, where the masses remain obedient and simple-minded, governed by a small, educated elite that hold all the power. The secret knowledge isn't hidden in a mysterious way. It's more like the stolen letter in Edgar Allan Poe's The Purloined Letters, hidden in plain sight. Once you realize mythologies are just stories, the basic truth becomes obvious. And when you let go of those myths, you can finally start to build real understanding. This next bit could get a bit wild. There's a lot of names that I'm not used to pronouncing, so I apologise in advance if I get them wrong. Ugo La Malfa, La Cuccia from Medio La Banca, Riccardo Lombardi from the Socialist Party, and Amendola and Napolitano from the Communist Party all started their political careers working with British intelligence.
Here is a brief biography of the architects of post-war Italy. Ugo La Malfa was a key post-World War II politician who championed democracy, economic reform, and European integration. Enrico Cuccia founded Mediobanca in 1946 and quietly shaped Italy's industrial rise, wielding immense influence behind the scenes. Riccardo Lombardi was an anti-fascist, socialist leader, and resistance fighter who pushed for democratic reform and ethical politics. Giorgio Amendola was a communist partisan and Euro-communist who promoted alliances with socialists and mentored Napolitano. Giorgio Napolitano rose from communist roots to become Italy's president, backing democratic socialism and European unity.
They were all shaped by the same figure, Bernardo Croce, a philosopher who's accused here of intellectually crippling Antonio Gramsci and others.
Antonio Gramsci was an Italian Marxist thinker, journalist, and co-founder of the Communist Party of Italy. Imprisoned by Mussolini, he wrote the influential prison notebooks on culture, power, and ideology. He introduced the concept of cultural hegemony, arguing that control of ideas sustains ruling power more than force alone.
Under his influence, Croce's network, which spread out from Naples University, became a key tool of British influence inside Italy, working with the Italian mafia and the black nobility. This network still exerts control over the country on behalf of London. But here's the twist. The real power isn't even visible in the political players. It lies within the black wealth oligarchy, a shadowy aristocratic elite. The mafia, La Malfa, Lombardi, and Amendola, they're not the masterminds, they're the hired help, disposable enforcers. The real reason Croce was so valuable to his British backers wasn't because of his intellect. It was because he and his circle understood how to manipulate Italian cultural myths. His writings on philosophy and aesthetics, especially on Hegel, might sound intellectual, but they're actually shallow and misleading. Still, they weren't just nonsense. They were the right kind of nonsense. The kind that an uncritical, superstitious Italian audience would believe. That's what made Croce and his followers so powerful. They weren't just philosophers. They were experts in shaping national identity through myth. In that sense, they became skilled shepherds of the Italian population, a population steeped in mythologies and easy to steer. The real mistake of La Malfa's opponents is that they think of themselves as practical politicians. They think good leadership means adapting to the dominant myths of the day, like their enemies. They do this to steer politics in a direction they believe will benefit Italy and its people. But they don't challenge the system. They keep working within it. That's the fatal error. By choosing so-called practical politics, also known as ductility, or bending to the political winds, they accept the boundaries set by the British handlers. They've agreed to lead from inside the sheep pen without even realising they are in a pen. The stories, the myths, the whole narrative is under someone else's control. Think of popular mythology like a goldfish bowl. The fish might swim left, right, fast, slow, and feel free doing so. But no matter how he navigates it, he can't escape the bowl. Because whoever controls the bowl controls the fish. That's how myths work. Now here's where it gets a bit messy. The so-called realist, the practical politicians on the humanist side, think they're being wise by playing inside the existing mythologies. They try to reshape stories, gently bending them towards something good, something in the interest of the people. But what they miss is the entire medium, the water they swim in, the bowl they're trapped in, is already controlled by the other side. So it doesn't matter how strategic the humanists think they're being, they're operating in a controlled environment, one designed to contain and redirect them. That's why voting in this kind of system is often meaningless. Whether through fraud, manipulation, or simply by limiting what voters know, the outcome is already shaped. If your worldview is built on myths and your choices are based on those myths, then your vote is just ritual. You, the average citizen, are in the bowl, controlled by somebody else. So that is where we will leave it for now. Pondering the mythologies we live in, the ones that shape our choices, our identity, and our sense of what is possible. They aren't neutral. They are designed, crafted, and moved by hidden hands. But what if those hands are being exposed? The real game isn't about left or right, elections or parties. It's about who controls the bowl and who stays trapped inside it.